Hey folks, welcome back. Let me pull this up full screen real quick. Yeah, there we go. Alright, good. Everybody's asleep. Hope they're sleeping good after that last report. For those of you who aren't asleep yet, we are going to dive deeper now. So let me adjust my lighting. Okay. Screen's good. Yeah, kitty, you're good. Alright. So now, for those of you keeping your lists, very good job. It's time to pull out a new piece of paper, put that list in a stack or whatever. We are moving on to metaphysics. First of all, before we go into it, just do a quick update on this while people are gathering here. Take a little look at what's going on here on the East Coast. What was it I was going to report here? Oof. The plant explosion in Ohio, um, the earthquake activity in Turkey. Let's go over to Turkey. Alright, this is Turkey right here, I believe. Let me get my light again. I want to double check while we're doing this. Just double check on my glove. Yes, directly underneath the Black Sea. Okay. This is the Black Sea right here. All of this is Turkey right here, okay? So it's still got activity going. The latest quake was down here, all right, in this area, going into Syria, where they're having more of this pressure, okay? So while they were doing that, where was the other thing I was going to report? Where was the other quake, you guys? There's two quakes there, so I'm expecting more activity here. Watch out around this area, okay? I would say everything from this side over, okay? What was it? Oh, that's what I was going to warn about. Oh, yeah, tomorrow being the 21st, okay? So let me open up a new thing. I forgot this part. So tomorrow being the 21st is Impact Day from the 18th. Okay, because it takes 3 days. All right, we need to go open up the 18th so we can take a peek at what we're going to be looking at here or expecting here on the 18th. All right, this was our big event. Okay, that's the big object, right? I'm not quite sure of its trajectory or our trajectory around it. Who knows what's going on right now at this point. But this is the impact that we would be. They really never showed anything on Enlil. They showed all this other activity, but this one they reported as a small sea flare. This is the one I'm most concerned about. They poo-pooed the 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 gravity of this one, okay? And I believe by my kind of guesstimates in the direction it looks like, the slight angle from stereo A, compare them a little bit, it's going to pass by us. It's not going to hit us, but it's going to go by us. Its trajectory seems to be even with us, not going north, okay? Its trajectory seems to actually kind of, let's do our best guesstimate, you along with me, you guys. Right about there, wouldn't you say? It's coming out of the page towards us at that angle. Okay, so it might pass. We're on the southern part of the sun. We're south of the sun's equator. So this could pass behind us. All right. And tomorrow is the expected day, and we've already seen earthquake activity over in Turkey preceding this. That's what I wanted to bring up was have your heads on a swivel tomorrow. There was earthquake activity preceding this. What was I gonna say? Um, Small object. Oh, that's tomorrow's the day to look up into the sky during the daytime with polarized sunglasses and look for the dark patch. You're not looking for the actual planetoid spheroid. You're not going to see it. It's dark matter. It absorbs light. But when it passes by, you're looking for missing light, okay? That's the key. It won't be perfectly round. It will appear in the sky as a dark fuzzy patch, okay? Darker blue than the regular sky, and it'll be out of place in the sky. There'll be a position in the sky where you look around with your polarized sunglasses, shift your head left to right, up and down, look round and round until you find there's a dark patch in the sky. And if you move your head left, the patch stays there, up and down, it stays there. You move it left to right, all right? That's how you spot the dark patch tomorrow, okay? Also, that's what it was I needed to open up. Side effects from earthquakes. So say if we had a magnitude 10, all right? And, um, what if magnitude? What if magnitude? Oops, sorry. I should have pulled this up. I forgot. There it is. Yes, this is the one. This is a fun little channel. It's not all that difficult.
Great again. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to say again because they never work.
Yeah, because they never work, right? Yeah. Oh, another ad. Jeez. So much important stuff going on, and they're wasting our time with ads. Okay, let me back up to this. All right. Now this, I'm showing this. Oops, I'm showing you this simple, stupid little video. Really? All right, listen closely.
Possible but inevitable, and most expected to happen very soon. It's a quiet Valentine's Day morning in 2021. For a month and a half, the world's been grateful that the dreadfulness of 2020 is finally over. But it seems disaster has one last gasp. 100 miles off the North American northwest coast, two continental plates are stuck in a million-year-old shoving match. The Juan de Fuca Oceanic Plate in the North American continental coast from British Columbia
Hang on, hang on, hang on.
planet in Pacific Northwest
All right.
coast from British Columbia to
Pause.
northern
Turn off the ads, guys. Dude. Enough of the ads. All right. Now, not necessarily the West Coast or North America. I want you to replace all that little terminology with anywhere on the world, okay? This is what if a Richter 10 scale earthquake hit, the West Coast, but we need to apply it to anywhere on the world. And just some things to look for and factors. We're going to try and make this as quick as possible because I really need to move on.
begins to shake. The foreshock alone measures a whopping magnitude 6, rattling commuters just now driving
Foreshock of
all
6.
across the Pacific coast of North America.
All around the world.
South is Los Angeles, homes are rattled, pictures falling off the walls.
Across the country.
Has only just begun. The shaking very quickly intensifies dramatically, and suddenly buildings and bridges are swaying several feet in the air, pushing their earthquake tolerances to the absolute limit. Smart government regulation has mandated for decades that American and Canadian high-rise buildings and bridges both are built to withstand large quakes. And despite their appearance, even the largest skyscrapers are surprisingly resistant. But no skyscraper and no city on Earth has ever faced the wrath of a magnitude 10 earthquake. The shaking is so severe that the tops of the skyscrapers are now swaying over 3 feet in the opposite direction of their bases, causing a 6-foot offset. This is too much for many of even the most modern and earthquake-proof buildings, and internal support columns.
It's all going to make sense when I start connecting the dots, you guys. This is we're going to do the first dot tonight.
then violently tossed back in the opposite direction
All right,
from
you guys.
the awesome force of the mighty shaking. Water pipes feeding fire suppression systems burst, flooding the inside of the buildings. After the first 30 seconds, some of the interior walls began to crumble, exposing dangerous live wires to the water streaming out of burst pipes. Thousands are electrocuted. Incredible as it seems, there are still 4.5 minutes left of shaking to go. Plate glass windows built to resist hurricane-force winds and tremendous impacts shatter from the strain of twisting and swaying in their frames as the building dances back and forth around them. People are hurled out of now open windows to the streets below. Those running for their lives on city streets are showered with guillotine blaze-sized chunks of glass and falling people alike. On bridges across the American Northwest, cars are violently thrown to and fro. Panicking drivers either try to speed off the wildly swaying bridges or slam their brakes in terror. This
All right, some ideas to kind of write down and stuff. If you guys live in cities with lots of bridges and stuff in these zones that I'm pointing out, when you're going across the bridge, say a nice little prayer, get across it really quick, like take care of business, you know what I mean? Get across that bridge. Don't loiter, cruise on the bridge, okay? In case something like this pops off at any moment, all right? We are in a time now where it doesn't matter if it's a 10. You just saw a 7.8 or whatever devastate a country, all right? Let's just don't worry about numbers and locations. Take in the information, please.
massive traffic jam trapping motorists
Traffic
on dangerously
jams.
swaying bridges. Many flee their vehicles on foot, crawling over stuck vehicles and doing their best not to be thrown off the bridge by violent swaying. But after 45 seconds of violent shaking, it's finally too much.
That's why I say get off the bridge.
All across Cascadia are exceeded, and one by one bridges collapse, plunging thousands to their deaths. Rail lines are severed all across the region, causing trains
Listen to this
derail
part.
and plow into surrounding buildings. Passengers and cargo are spilled all over cities and the wilderness, causing many more deaths, along with a massive environmental disaster as millions of tons of industrial chemicals and wastes are spilled across some of the most pristine forests in North America.
Sound familiar, folks? Okay? Not just North America, all around the world will see this, okay? Let's continue on.
Massive fires erupt as oil and gas being shipped by rail freight is spilled in train disaster after disaster. Now, the Pacific Northwest is not only shaking, it's burning. Back in the cities, people flee the violently swaying buildings, but they find no safety on the streets.
I'll answer that
Falling
question in a
glass and
minute.
masonry slices and crushes people running for their lives.
I need you guys to consider this stuff now, okay?
Explosions rock cities in the affected area. Raw sewage floods city streets. Sinkholes begin to emerge and swallow people by the dozens. At a minute and a half of shaking, all but the sturdiest skyscrapers begin to crumble. There are still 3.5 minutes left. Powerful waves of energy deep beneath the earth combine with the normal shaking caused by the massive earthquake to create a unique scenario in the ground above it. The soil itself seems to liquefy, shaken so violently that it becomes almost like quicksand. While most skyscrapers
It's called liquefaction. You can put that on the list here of earthquake stuff or whatever list you want to put it on. I think you guys understand how liquefaction works, okay?
to this point, this is the final nail in the coffin. Buildings weighing millions of tons suddenly sink several feet into the ground, losing their firm foundations and now shaking uncontrollably. The center support column.
Get help reaching your goals.
Does that scenario sound familiar? That the building's collapsing and everything. If you're gonna be in a building and think about if you were caught in a collapse, the stuff nearby you. I always keep water by my bed, a flashlight by my bed, shoes by my bed. This is all stuff that Dutch Sense would be telling you about, but I'm just kind of going a little deeper with it.
Keeping skyscrapers aloft snap like toothpicks, and almost as if caught in a controlled demolition, skyscraper after skyscraper seems to collapse inward. Masonry the size of boulders rains down across city blocks, burying anybody caught in the open. Those stuck inside the collapsing buildings have almost no chance of survival, though a few of those who took shelter in basements and parking garages become entombed by the falling debris. Incredibly, the earth continues to shake at such violent magnitude for another 3 minutes. The full 5 minutes of constant shaking is enough to bring down nearly every structure over 4 stories all across the North American wilderness. The cities of Seattle, Vancouver, Portland, Spokane, Tacoma, and Boise, along with a few others, are almost all completely leveled. It's
Okay, if this happens in the New Madrid zone, you guys, we're not talking these cities. We're talking the East Coast cities. If it happens anywhere in the country, we're talking a city near you. So the cities aren't the greatest idea. I hate to tell you guys this. This is kind of why I'm doing this, to hint instead of having to tell you. So we're almost done with this, and then I'm moving on. Thank you for your patience.
scale humanity has not seen since the end of the Second World War. Entire cities, once full of over 500,000 people, have nearly disappeared in a haze of dust and smoke. Iconic landmarks such as Seattle's Space Needle are gone, brought low by the worst earthquake humanity has ever endured. Massive
Okay, what are you going to happen when the worst earthquake humanity has ever endured happens? What's your plan? Okay, you need to start making plans now, all right? Dutch Sense has a good strategy with his, go bags and shoes around, and now it's time to take that stuff seriously and start planning what you're going to do, where you're going to go. If it happens at night when you're sleeping and you're pinned in your bed, are you going to have water for 3 days in case it takes 3 days to dig you out? Are you going to have a blanket around to stay warm in case it gets below freezing at night? Are you gonna have shoes around to run and barefoot in the middle of the night over glass? All things to consider. And this is trying to give you just more things to consider, and then we will move on here briefly.
broken out, and from space it appears as if almost the entire region of Cascadia is in flames. However, fire will very soon be the least of the survivors' concerns. Less than a minute after the shaking finally stops, it finally arrives. The most devastating tsunami in recorded history. The incoming tsunami is so massive that entire ports all along the coast are emptied of water just before its arrival. Many recognize this portent of impending doom from videos of the infamous tsunamis in Southeast Asia and Japan and begin to flee for their lives. Others stare dumbfounded as marine life flops and gasps for breath, where just moments ago they were swimming in water up to 30 feet deep. The fish don't have to wait long for the water to return. Racing at 1,000 miles per hour, the tsunami towers 200 feet in the air, or almost 80 feet higher than the 2011 Japanese tsunami that devastated the country. Survivors of the violent shaking scramble to get to rooftops all across the North American coast, but there are few buildings tall enough to save them. The incoming wave measures nearly 14 stories tall, and as it finally breaks on land, it washes right over the coastal infrastructure, crushing thousands under the pounding waves. The real devastation, however, comes not from the height of the tsunami wave, but the incredible power behind it. Entire buildings are ripped from their foundations and carried along with the wave as the waters push an incredible half-mile inland in most places. Anything still standing in coastal cities is now under assault by a battering ram of trillions of tons of water and debris. And for most surviving buildings, it's too much. Skyscrapers that miraculously survived the shaking are brought low by the battering ram effect of the crushing waves. The wave takes almost half a day to begin to wash back out to sea, by which time a tsunami wave sent toward Asia finally makes landfall in Japan and China's coast. Hawaii has long since been inundated, though thanks to the warning, actual fatalities are almost zero. Devastation reminiscent of the 2011 Japanese tsunami.
Okay, wait. Pause.
Back in North America.
Okay, I want to pause right here. Are you guys prepared for tsunamis on the coast? What are you going to do when this wave comes? And then something else I want to stipulate and point out is the tsunami waves travel at 700 miles an hour. So if the quake, say, is on the opposite side of the planet, it gives you multiple hours to escape, all right? It all depends on the location of the quake, how long the wave arrives, right? So, depending, like say you had 3 hours warning, it struck off the East Coast this time and it's racing towards New York City, and you have 3 hours to get out of New York City. Where are you going to go? How are you going to get out? If you're in LA, where are you going to go? How are you going to get out? If you're on any coastline, think of where you're going to go inland, where you're going to go deep enough inland to escape a wave this size, possibly, okay? Realistically, now, okay? This is why I'm showing you this, so I got to keep going.
Efforts by the U.S. military begin almost immediately after the start of the disaster, but there are few to save. By the time the waters finally recede, any survivors of the earthquake who had been taking refuge in basements or car garages have been drowned. Others further inland and ahead of the waves may have as little as days left to live before the breathable air runs out. With thousands of collapsed buildings to search in each affected city and dozens of major population centers affected, there's simply not enough rescue personnel in the U.S. and Canada to...
This is why we shouldn't have all of our equipment over in Afghanistan. What if this happens here? Over in Turkey, sorry. What if this happens here in our country and all our best men and all our best equipment are over in some foreign land when we need them here at home? So think about how long it's going to take for your rescue, okay? If you're trapped like this, like I was describing earlier, how long are you going to be until somebody even comes along? They don't, all our dogs, all our equipment is being over at another country. So keep that in mind, please.
Was trapped. Sea levels return to their normal state after a day, but the fires take 2 weeks to put out. So much smoke has been created.
Maybe a fire extinguisher next to your bed. So if you're pinned in bed and there's part of the house is on fire and you can't escape, you can put the fire out around your vicinity. You know what I'm saying? And possibly survive.
By the burning cities, its smog spreads as far east as Detroit. When the smoke finally clears, the North American Pacific Northwest looks like a world war has been waged there. Cities have been turned to rubble and ash, but the pristine forests and pride of Cascadia have burned out of control for half a month. Untold millions of acres have been reduced to glowing embers, the damage shockingly visible from space and appearing like a massive gray scar on the North American continent. The final death toll is in the millions, and will only climb as disease and starvation begins to take its toll on an entire region whose infrastructure has been completely devastated. To make matters worse, a resurgent winter begins its icy chill down on the area, and many survivors freeze to death for a lack of proper heating.
Okay, remember I was saying freezing to death? In the devastation, freezing to death? We're witnessing that right now, okay? That is currently happening. All right, that's why I'm showing you this, so you'll be prepared. Start getting prepared, you guys.
Into humanitarian efforts in cities on both the American and Canadian side of the border, bolstered by a huge global response to this unprecedented disaster. Even countries normally at odds with the U.S. send aid. Chinese and Russian search and rescue personnel working alongside U.S. and Canadian personnel. Much like in the Christmas tsunami of Southeast Asia and the Japanese 2011 tsunami, the world has been united by tragedy, but the affected area is simply too large, and there are too many victims and not enough aid. The earthquake's death toll will continue well into summer as starvation and disease plagues those who lived through the most destructive earthquake in world history. Now, go watch this while you're still alive. Worst natural disasters in human...
While you're still alive. Okay, so that was the basic gist of that I wanted to get through to you. Okay, now we are going into the metaphysics. We are transitioning from astrophysics and dark matter. We're crossing the boundary now off the page into another realm called metaphysics, okay? So you can title your next paper, whatever, Metaphysics. And, oh boy. This is kind of hard to do and hard to explain. So we're going to do it in a dot-to-dot format, okay? And what I mean by that is each dot, like representational dot, is a video and a revelation, okay? I'm going to lay out a bunch of revelations and a bunch of dots for you, and then at the end we will connect the dots and reveal a much bigger hidden picture. You remember how a dot to dot works? You can't see the hidden picture until you start connecting the dots. You get halfway, but you can't still make it out. You have to complete the dots in successive order in the right sequence, properly understood and explained along the way, so when the dots are connected, the invisible becomes visible, okay? This is like revelation, and it can only be done this way. All right, so for all you guys that are taking notes, I want you to pay attention now, okay? This is still the astrophysics right now. This is where we transition into the other area, and I'll explain. The date on this event was September 10th of 2017, which you guys, I hope you all know about the star alignment that happened on September 23rd of 2017, 13 days after this event, okay? In the Revelation, it says the dragon stood in front of the woman, ready to devour the child.
Like 4 a.m. Give it a break.
Oh, anyways, so this appeared 13 days before the Revelation 12 sign, right? I just broke my concentration, sorry. Okay, so this is the dragon of Revelation 12. All right, I've already gone into it and described this for you in this video called Nibiru that's on my channel. All right, now, now, what I need to do is show you this so you understand that this is a biblical event. This is a sign that was foretold in the Bible. It's the second sign that everybody missed. Everybody was looking for the dragon and Nibiru and stuff too, but they missed it. They all saw the star alignment and they thought Nibiru was coming afterwards. But if you read the text closely, it said it stood in front of the woman. Well, it stood 13 days in front of the woman, all right? So now we have Revelation 12 has come true. The entire part of it. The dragon and the woman. All right? So I need you guys to grasp that concept for right now. All right? This is the first dot in the series of dots. Okay? So write down your first dot is Nibiru and Nemesis, the dragon of Revelation 12. Okay? So once you wrap your head around that, tomorrow I'll be back with the second dot, all right? So take some time to understand this event actually happened when it was supposed to. I captured it here. I'm trying to show it to you and explain it to you, okay? So we have Revelation 12 coming true, all right? And that's it for the first dot, okay? It's a lot. It's dark matter, it's a neutron star, it's the destroyer, it's what other civilizations have warned us about through hieroglyphs and texts and everything, all right? We're understanding what this biblical event means now, okay? So wrap your brain around that for tonight. The first dot is the dragon, Nemesis, and Nibiru. Okay, that's it for tonight. I'll be back tomorrow with more. Love you. Bye.